and welcome to another episode of The Last 7, a Newport-based podcast, and not so philosophical wax regarding the last 7 days. I've had a shit day at work, the boiler's broken, the flat's really, really cold. I'm your host, Dan Rowley. With me today, as always, Ken Trainer.
Hello.
As always, Antonio Romola.
Hiya.
And a new addition for this year, Matthew Spencer. Good to see you, Matthew. How's it going?
Fuck you. Yeah, it's great actually. It's lovely to be here.
Spencer basically rolled up, didn't roll up, he texted me about 3 hours ago and he was like, you up to much tonight? I said, no, if you want to contribute to the podcast, come on. So he turfed up, soaked in beer.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, so I decided to let him in anyway.
That's not true.
Okay.
I turned up like I normally turn up, with my cock in my hand.
This is Justin's replacement.
Yeah, it's always a welcome
This is Justin's replacement.
I know. Talking about the bottom of the barrel. Jesus.
The boiler's not broken, is it?
No, it's not. We had a handyman come in and he took the front off the boiler and shoved some wires about and then it worked.
So he wasn't even a plumber, he was just a handyman.
Oh no, dude, the guy, he is so fucking handy.
Why do boilers always break in the winter? Has to be in the winter they break. Why?
Because that's when you use them.
Don't really use them in the summer, do you? Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
overuse.
forget I said that then.
That's the
No
shit.
way, mate. No way. Keep it in. Keep it in. Never let it forget.
Never delete.
So right, yeah, that's a lot of us. Big week in Greece, Tone.
Big week in Greece.
Not the musical.
And he's not taking you on a holiday.
I'm not taking you on holiday.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the price of lard has plummeted to the point where we can all now afford it. It's not like petrol, mate.
Yeah, I haven't been watching.
Have you watched the news?
No.
Oh, there's a fucking surprise. You haven't even watched the
Oh
news
shit!
round
No,
properly.
I do know.
What's
no,
happened?
I did. Hang on a minute. It's coming back to me now in little waves. Yeah, a plane crash. Is that what it was? Was it a plane crash
Yes.
No.
in Greece?
Yes. Massive plane crash.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
No, it was.
Nope.
Oh, no, there was something. I remember seeing loads of smoke and images. I wasn't really concentrating.
They've elected a new pope in
Basically,
Greece.
what happened was Lauren was watching the news while I was there, and she turned to me and said something about Greece, and I wasn't really paying much attention.
But there was smoke on the telly, so you just assumed that Greece was on fire.
Unless she was talking about Greece whilst, and I was looking at the image of a different,
Well, that's definitely what happened.
What is it?
You were right. Yeah, spot on.
There's been an election, mate. The unionised
believe it.
left party of Greece
It's
have
the
formed a
social.
coalition with the independent Greeks. So yeah, it's going to be pretty much or at least half, of an extremely
Right.
left-wing government, and they're going to try and negotiate Greece's massive, massive debt.
Right.
Good luck.
They're going to come to the European Union and go, look, we haven't got any money, so about that money that we owe,
Fuck you.
can't pay the money. But they're willing to offer. He didn't go into specifics, so he's willing to offer a fair way of settling the debt. So I'm imagining sort of free halloumi for life, or
That's the thing. When you owe someone money, it is up to you to determine how fair the repayments are.
of course it is. Yeah. Yeah, enough hummus, a pint of hummus for everybody in Europe.
Well,
I think it's good though.
Well, I
It's
feel
nice that these people are in power because it was like
Alexis
either them
Tsipras.
or the Golden Dawn. Did you see them?
No.
Well, it wasn't either them or the Golden Dawn. It was.
It was because they
No.
were going mad for him.
The Golden Dawn.
They're like these fucking crazy fucking twatish Greek fascists.
Yeah, big old right
And they
wing.
didn't win, so hallelujah.
Good.
Yeah, they're fucking.
Be
Marxists
interesting
and
time
stuff.
though. Like like the extreme left versus the extreme
This
right
is
in
what
a
you
national.
get.
Oh
like
yeah,
extreme
that would have been a
austerity.
great coalition.
This is what you get though. It's like you either get the extreme right or the extreme left, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but that's my point. They got both
Yeah.
facing off in elections. Brilliant.
But now they got these fucking assholes. I'd
good.
love to see these guys do something good, but they probably won't.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how fair the debt repayment's going to be.
I hate to be pessimistic.
What do you think about the King of Saudi and his death, but more importantly, the controversy that followed it of the flags flying at half-mast at Buckingham
Isn't
Palace?
he the
as a
one
show
that
of
held
respect?
Michael Jackson as like his dancing gimp?
I don't know. I think you might have got a couple of stories twisted there.
Is that the one that
What?
had Michael Jackson as his like? Ken, Google it, man.
no,
Michael Jackson dancing
Michael
gimp?
Jackson was like his like pet fucking gimp, something like that.
pet game.
Yeah, it was. It was like he'd hired Michael Jackson to like dance
Who?
for him. The King of Saudi. I don't know. He's a bellend. You don't let women drive. Mind you, saying that, he's probably on the right path.
that's what the controversy was about. Is because it's essentially a theocracy in Saudi, and they have to keep like militant Islamists quiet, or at least on side by going, they're what are they called? Wahhabis. So like an extreme form of Sunni
Sounds like
Islam.
a sauce that you put on your
Sounds like
sushi.
wasabi.
Yeah. the burial type thing was amazing. Even though he's the king of Saudi, it's exactly the same as everybody else. But an unmarked public grave, and they just do it the day after. Wrap you in a sheet, you get washed by your family, and then they chuck you in a hole. That's it. And then it's
Sounds good.
back to work, man. No mourning. Mourning's seen as weakness.
I would never trust my family to wash me when I was alive.
Bit of controversy because the British showed respect to somebody who's essentially got a horrible history of human rights violations.
Yeah, what reason would they have had though to show that respect? Was there a reason
Oil.
to suck up?
Cash
Yeah.
me.
They're fucking loaded.
So that's just embarrassing, really, isn't it? That they've done that. That just makes us look bad.
Well, royal
Yeah,
families
but-
tend to stick together. Prince Charles went over to offer his
He was
condolences.
there, yeah.
And that's who you want at the time of crisis. Is
Prince Charles.
his old homeopath Prince Charles.
The Wikipedia page for hummus does not mention Greece.
Where's hummus from?
Israel, isn't it?
Yeah, it is really.
It's not really Greek, it's
I've
just-
seen the Zohan.
Oh yeah. That Zohan movie. They're always eating hummus.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's from the Lebanon.
Well,
Israel.
I'll be
It's from
done.
that.
No,
It's an
that's,
Arabic word.
it's probably best if we don't say whether that's Israeli or not, because we might get killed for that shit.
No, yeah, it's true. Greek don't really have. They do have hummus, but it's not like, you know, of. The,
Pronounced hummus.
Oh, I'm not being funny. The
they have
Greeks have got
tzatziki,
enough.
don't they?
The Greeks have got enough.
Yeah, they got.
We got theatre
Yeah,
and fucking loincloths.
And the invention of civilization as we know it.
and
Exactly.
Mathematics.
Logic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Medicine.
So, yeah, let's give hummus to the Israelis.
On May the 8th, 2010, 300 Lebanese chefs armed with state-of-the-art spatulas achieved a new Guinness World Record by whipping up a 10-ton batch of chickpea spread hummus, history's largest. A hummus war has been waging since 2006, when Sabra, the hummus company whose name is Hebrew slang for Israeli born, and which is partly owned by the Israeli-based Strauss Group, served up the first Guinness-worthy batch. The feat inspired chefs in both countries, that's Israel and Palestine, to one-up each other in a series of chickpea smash-offs. Serious the competition sounds, it unearthed a passionate debate about who invented the ubiquitous Middle Eastern dip.
That's amazing.
Is that what it's all about?
That's the first food war. It's
Hummus.
hummus. Yeah, it's nothing to do with like
Nothing to
Jewish-
do with Greece.
Yeah, nothing at all. It's all about the fucking chickpeas.
it doesn't sound very appetising though when they say chickpea spread.
Touch of this week in history, chaps.
I would love to know what was happening this weekend.
Fantastic. In which case, we'll go straight for it. This week in 1984, this will interest you, Antonio. Michael Jackson suffers second-degree burns whilst filming a Pepsi commercial.
Ooh. Well, I know that must be the second. That must be the second time he's had his hair burnt.
Is it?
Because I know of a time where he was on stage
Do
and
you remember the time
And something-
when he burned his hair?
something went wrong. Something blew on stage next to him and his hair caught fire.
Something blew on stage. Was it a
Or
6-year-old?
something like that, and he had to get rushed to hospital halfway through the concert, and that's why he's got like a weird like. That's why he had like a weird like.
Is that why he
Yeah,
looks weird?
That's
is it?
why, isn't it?
He started wearing a wig because his
Glad you
hair
corrected
looked
yourself.
fucking.
That's
Awful.
why that's why he used to.
So he was bald, was he?
Huh?
He was bald.
No,
He was like-
his hair stopped growing in like one part of his head, and that's why he started wearing like a wig.
Isn't it weird when you get a second-degree burn now? It makes your skin really pale as well, all over, and makes your nose a different shape.
Oh no,
makes
that
your
was
voice
to
go
do
really
with
high.
that was to do with his vitiligo that he had. He had to cover
Yeah,
that because
yeah,
obviously vitiligo looked really fucking weird on a black person, so
Yeah.
he just had to.
Not true though, is it?
I still think it's true.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It is
Yeah.
true.
This week in 1935, Iceland becomes the first country to legalise abortion.
Oh, well done, Iceland.
1935. Which seems a long, long time ago, and if it's the first, a lot of time for people to still... Is it still illegal in Ireland?
Yeah.
Totally.
In
And
the
is it-
Republic.
Is it states of America as well? Are there states of America where it is
Probably,
illegal?
yeah. There's loads of fucked up
it's not-
religious dickheads that
Mm.
live there.
It's not such a bad thing though. If you think about it, because it makes these immature women grow up.
No, it doesn't.
Because then they've got to have these babies. Then
What are you talking
they've got to
about?
go through with it, have them, and then they're forced to grow up. Like.
What you saying? Yeah,
Well, 'cause you're saying that they have banned abortion in Ireland. It's
No, we
banned.
haven't.
No,
we
it's
haven't.
It's banned. It was never legal.
It's
was it?
never legal.
Yeah, you're not allowed to.
Yeah,
abort a
yeah,
baby
exactly.
in
You're
America.
not allowed. That's what I'm saying. It's a good thing.
Well,
Really?
How's that a good thing?
Well, because then it's like they know the consequences if they get pregnant.
Yeah, you know the
And I'm not
consequences
saying,
anyway.
and let me just specify, I'm
What's
not
the
saying it's
consequence?
just women's
you
responsibility.
have to have the baby.
It's men's fault as well. But yeah, that's what I mean. They have to have the baby, so they're forced to grow up and be and freaking learn from their actions.
So just to go for an
So
extreme
they
example.
can't just go. They can't just go and have it ripped out of them,
Okay.
you know, and be done with it and forget it ever happened.
Yeah,
I
'cause
don't
they're not-
have to live with the guilt.
Yeah, no, that's what
I have
happens.
to-
You go in for 5 minutes, it's ripped out of you, and then you straight away whistling on your way home. It's
So what
fine.
I'm saying is they
It's not
literally
traumatic in the
have to live
slightest.
with the guilt. It's born and then lives with them for many years.
Oh, that's
And
good. That's good.
yeah.
Get a mother to resent her
yeah,
child.
much better
Yeah.
What a
traumatizing.
nice happy society you've got there.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What the fuck? That's mad.
Wow.
Well, that's
All right,
mad.
take it to an extreme example that people always use, right? What about a victim of a sexual assault, a victim of a rape, who is then impregnated by a rapist?
I know that's different. Yeah.
That is different, right? Okay, so there's a precedent for a bit of difference. So what about somebody who is in a marriage, what seems to be a loving relationship, but has actually been forced to
I
have
jumped
a
the gun.
baby?
I take back what I said.
Have
Yeah.
you ever banged a really ugly girl?
Spencer,
I wished you hadn't.
behave.
Alright, I'm sorry. But have you ever banged a really ugly
Well,
girl?
no, because there's no point talking about this
No.
because it's not going in.
And then you thought, oh no. You know it.
Yeah. Anyway, take back what I said there. I jumped the gun. Clearly.
Clearly did. But well done for seeing the error of your ways.
You edit that down so that it doesn't sound so bad.
No, definitely it's going to sound worse. It's going to be Antonio's anti-abortion rant. It's going to be a new. It's going to be a new section. Tone's anti-human rights. This week in 1956, Elvis made his first TV appearance after appearing on Forrest Gump, or after staying at his guest house rather. Taught him that dance, and that was it. Did you know when they were filming Elvis, a lot of his shows he was only filmed from the waist up because they thought his hips and legs were too sexy the way they were gyrating.
Yeah.
Well, they were very sexy.
Very
He also
famous thing.
couldn't play the guitar for shit.
I can understand that because if I'd seen that back then, I probably would have become excited.
Anybody who saw Elvis couldn't stop. They had to have sex with him.
I think I would have found
would
it
have had
funny.
sex with him.
I think I would have laughed at that if I'd seen that for the first time. Someone doing that on stage. Like,
Would you have had sex
shaking
with him?
hips around. Well, no, unless I would have been gay in the
No.
1950s.
But even
Unless I
as a
would have
straight
been
man,
gay in the
would you have liked
1950s. This week in 1967, the ultimate high mantra rock dance happened. Janis Joplin, Grateful Dead,
Oh,
Allen Ginsberg, the
Sounds
ultimate hippie gig.
oh, it sounds good.
I know you wanted to be alive sort of in the 60s and the 70s.
Mate, I think if I was alive in the 60s, I would have definitely tried all of the drugs under the sun that were going. Definitely would have. It's a shame if I was born in that era. I think I would have just definitely.
Died young.
Probably, yeah, but I think I would have definitely just been right sucked into all of that.
Is it wrong to say that the drugs would have probably been shit back then?
No.
Probably better.
Is that a bit like,
Less
or do you
chemical.
think it's probably more likely that the drugs back then, now, would be better?
The drugs back then now would be better.
Yeah, if we had the drugs from back
Oh,
then,
right,
now,
I
they'd
see,
be
yeah,
better
yeah.
than the drugs we
Ken
have now.
understood.
Well, I beg your
Right,
pardon.
It's a
I
shame you
did.
didn't get it.
I'm
You're
not
the
smart
host.
enough. I'm not as smart as Ken.
Fucking spastic. And we like to say spastic.
Probably get rid of the word spastic quite a lot, yeah. Antonio, last week, for a question of tone, we posed to you the scenario that you were in heaven and you were having a party and all your friends and family, all the people you know were invited, and you got some special guests. And we asked you, as a follow-up, what you'd say to them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hand you the floor, Antonio.
Okay, I wrote these down and I got really into it. So we'll start off with Walt Disney.
Walt Disney.
Alright, Walt, nice to see you here. And so you should be here for bringing so much happiness to children all over the world with the magic of your film. Still smoking cigars, I see. I'll join you for one later and you can tell me all about why you made Disney villains like Ursula from Little Mermaid and the Witch in Snow White so terrifying.
Do you think he did the Little Mermaid?
I'd be thrilled
Walt
to hear
Disney?
it. I think so. Yeah, it was one of
It was
these
made by Disney, but I don't think he thought of Ursula the baddie. He's dead by then, mate.
Wow, he
He
would have.
did.
he would have come up with
He knew.
So I'd be thrilled to hear it, Walt. Also, I thought I'd better let you know that Disney have made a lot of shit since you died. Not all the time, but sometimes they do tend to go off the rails a bit. That's what I'd say to him.
That's excellent. That's really good.
So
Who's
what?
next on your list, mate?
Tolkien.
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Tolkien, nice to meet you, sir. I am a huge fan of your work. I absolutely bum Middle Earth, and you've satisfied all of my nerdy desires.
It sounds like you're like an urchin meeting Dickon, doesn't
You
it?
actually,
Good to meet you, sir. Alright.
you actually made me want to be a hobbit. You should visit one of your relatives in a dream and tell them to write another trilogy that continues on from Return of the King. Maybe the dwarves turn evil and reawaken another Dark Lord, and all the heroes from Lord of the Rings have to all get together again to save Middle Earth. Just a suggestion, but I'll leave it in your trusty hands. That was it.
Brilliant.
That's
Excellent.
brilliant.
Yeah, good advice.
That's probably
Okay.
the same thing I'd say to him.
Who's next, mate?
George Harrison.
Ah, great.
Alright, George. So cool to meet you. You are my favourite Beatle. Is John about? Is he? Still in purgatory? What about Yoko? No, didn't think so. Fuck the bitch. It's where she belongs. She's probably the reason John is still in purgatory. He's probably expected to... Hang on. I just realised. Yoko hasn't even died yet. Oh, I see. Wishful thinking, is it, George?
Look at this fucking you, Brit.
Don't worry, I get it. She fucked up the Beatles. Anyway, I was hoping that maybe after dinner you might play a version of Here Comes the Sun on the sitar for all of us. Right. Now we got the chief, the random chief, which we didn't really know. I just said I wanted a chief there, but there was no name for him.
Chief Last Stand.
Yeah.
Give it the reverence it deserves. You're speaking to this noble chief.
Chief! Sorry, what? How? How what? What?
Fuck!
Oh, right, I see. Yeah, hi to you too. How? Or whatever you say, yeah, how. Sorry, I don't even know who you are. I just thought it would be really cool to have a Red Indian chief sitting at the table with us. My condolences on losing your country to cowboys. Maybe later we can sit around a fire and you can tell me some Indian folk tales. Will that help cheer you up? Oh, I wanted to ask you something actually. Does it get cold in heaven during the winters? If so, could you make me a thick coat out of buffalo skin and give me some cool face paint to go with it? Also, from here on in, could you please refer to me as Tumac?
Superb. Well done.
Yeah. Michael Jackson? Yo, Michael, what's up? You are incredible, and I fucking love your music. The first CD I ever owned was your Dangerous album, and I played it to shit. Damn you for dying 1 month before I was supposed to see you at the O2. But I guess if you hadn't died, I wouldn't be sat talking to you right now, and this is far better. I wouldn't change it for the world, Michael. I've got a question for you though, and this isn't because I ever doubted you, but it would be nice to hear the truth coming from your own lips in person.
Well, they're not his lips.
Did you ever touch kids? Oh wait, hang on a minute. You're clearly innocent. Otherwise you wouldn't even be here, right? Unless God is a bit twisted or a huge fan of the Earth song and let you in anyway. No, God wouldn't do that. So yes, I knew it. I was right. You're not a paedophile. Want to dance later? Right, what am I on? Oh yeah. Okay, Jesus now. It's the last one.
Jesus. Saving the best till last, maybe?
Yeah.
You've done your rounds
Yeah.
on the table.
Last one.
Everybody's happy.
Okay, Jesus, I'm going to assume, based on the fact that we're all sat around this lovely dinner table in heaven, that you are not a fake. Clearly you were right about something, so fair play. I'm sure I speak for everyone else sat at this table when I express my sincere gratitude to you for helping us get here. Isn't that right, Chief? What's that? What? This is Jesus! How do you not know who Jesus is?
Great call.
Okay, never mind, Chief. You can sit and talk to Jesus one-on-one later. He'll tell you everything you need to know about him. So, Jesus, I do have a lot of questions, actually, about some of those stories in the Bible, particularly in the Old Testament. A lot of it doesn't add up, and it would be great if you could enlighten me on it over a cuppa later. Anyway, a toast to the Christ. Thank you for getting us here, and for providing this lovely supper. Good fresh salmon, a nice seedy crusty loaf, and the finest red wine. Everyone give it up for the Lord. Amen. And that's it. That's my dinner party in heaven.
Amen, Tone.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's fucking brilliant,
That's
Tone.
lovely.
Before we try and bring a bit of order to proceedings this evening, we must deal with the Ella Jew night in the room, and that is Justin's cunt of the week. So I'm going to go for Justin.
Yeah, what happened this week?
Busy, too busy. Saw her play twice last week. He didn't need to, so he didn't bother, and now he's busy. I think he's at the Old Vic. I'm not sure if he's performing or if he's just, watching a show 3 times. Why not?
Horrible cunt.
So we had your favourite facts from QI's 1,411 facts to knock you sideways. You passed the mantle on to Kenneth.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Should we do the music again? I think it was quite good, the musical interlude. Cue the goddamn music. In at number 10.
The French word for sexting is texto pornographique.
Nice.
Nice.
Number 9.
Since 1948, 100 planes have gone missing in flight and never been recovered.
Whoa.
That doesn't surprise me. Are they
That
all
does.
in Malaysia?
Yeah, no, considering that story.
Well, that was probably the 100th one.
Air report.
Shit, have they even all been reported at the
No.
time?
Well, yeah, they know about them. There's 100.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess for a lot of it in the 50s and stuff, it was probably the time when planes would take off and then they just wouldn't arrive at the destination, and then they'd start
They'd go somewhere
investigation.
else.
Yeah.
Where's they gone?
Which I know still happens now, but what I mean is there's more big
Spontaneous
Track them.
holidays,
We
not
sent
knowing where
a
you're going.
flight over to Iceland and they end up in Jamaica. What's going on?
I know they've never been recovered, so who knows where they ended up.
Bermuda Triangle.
Can you imagine that if you could book a flight, like, but you didn't know where you were going? The whole point was that you didn't know where you'd end up, and like that was your holiday surprise.
It's not a bad
You
idea,
don't know
Tone.
until you get
It's
off the
not
plane.
a bad
You
idea,
paid for
mate.
the surprise. They
It's
sorted
not a
everything
bad
out for
idea.
you.
I'm surprised I haven't. That's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Well, I think you
Surprise!
might get an idea then. But
We don't know where we're going, and neither do you. Surprise holidays.
Iraq.
Brilliant.
We've taken you to Birmingham.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, you didn't even say you got
How
abroad,
the hell
yeah.
did the flight take so fucking long? We just went around Europe and then around America and that, and then just came back.
Number 8.
80% of all time capsules have been lost.
Oh, I remember when they opened the Blue Peter one in like the year 2000, and there was this big, like they did it in sort of 1960, I think, and then big excitement. They were going to do it at the end of a show. They'd set aside like 25 minutes to do it, and they opened it. And it was all full of muddy water. All the newspapers were all completely fucked. Time capsules, even when they're opened, even if they survive, are bollocks. No, number 7.
Interestingly, continuing on from what we were just talking about, because fearing a German invasion, in 1940, Alan Turing converted his assets into silver ingots and buried them in Buckinghamshire. He spent the rest of his life failing to find them.
Oh my god.
Good. What a dickhead.
What an amazing man. But
Yeah,
yeah,
he was
that's a shame. Do you know who Alan Turing is, Tone? Fantastic. Number 6.
French toast is thousands of years older than France.
Yeah, I came across that one.
Yeah.
So basically, it obviously wasn't the French that invented it.
It's eggy bread, isn't it? French toast. That's what.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But if
There's
it's
two
not,
types of French toast.
Okay.
Well, there's French toast, you can buy it, right? And it's like it's like a little loaf of dried bread. It is.
So bread.
Yeah, but you can buy little bits of French toast and they're about that big.
Okay.
Right, I can't, obviously, no one can see what I'm saying, but they're like, it's like little bread, yeah? You
Right.
can have like little bread and it's fucking dried and it's crap. In my opinion, it's shit. What's the point? It's like a cracker, but made with bread and not fucking cracker shit or biscuit.
Right.
And the
other
second type.
The second type is where you fry the bread with egg.
Eggy bread.
Yeah,
Banging.
it's like that. But the French, you know what they're like? It's like that. They'll fucking make a meal out of fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Wankers. It will. It's like that. Oh yeah, snails. It's gotta go.
The earliest known reference to French toast is in the Apicius, a collection of Latin recipes dating from the 4th or 5th centuries.
Agus breaders. In at number 5 this week.
Accents in Britain change noticeably every 25 miles.
Holy shit.
whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was thinking about this. 25 miles in any direction.
That's true. You got the valleys.
I agree.
What a Cardiff. What a Bristol.
And
It's
then
like-
you
Yeah,
go
what am I
25 miles
thinking? Yeah,
further.
25
Yeah,
miles.
from
At
Newport.
least, at the very least.
Cardiff and Newport, you've got it. It's
Yeah,
the same
25
accent,
miles
but
is fine.
different.
Yeah.
Newport's like that. I fucking loves you, I do.
Cardiff.
And Cardiff's like that. I fucking loves you, I do.
It's a shame. But they got deeper voices there, have they?
No, all we say this. We go. I'm going downtown to spend a few pounds and have a look round. Cardiff go. I go downtown to spend a few pounds and have a look round.
Number 4.
90% of people remember their first kiss more vividly than the first time they had sex.
I don't remember my first kiss.
I remember both. It was rubbish.
Yeah, I remember both equally as much.
Did you?
Both
Who-
were,
who-
both,
who-
both were awful.
Who was your Warful?
It was so bad.
Yeah, the collateral damage from both was ridiculous.
No, yeah, both were awful.
Who did you kiss first? Who was your first kiss?
My first kiss was a girl called Hannah White. Like that was first like tongues, like kiss, proper kiss. And I remember fucking feeling sick afterwards because she had proper eggy breath. Like.
Oh, that's
I
big.
went home and was I went home and was like rinsing my mouth out under the tap.
You've got one of the
tap. My mum
weakest
and dad were
stomachs.
laughing at me because I was like, I just had my first kiss. Like, gagging like fuck, gagging like I do now.
Yeah, no, but we can. Like I said, we can make you gag by saying things. I can't imagine what it must have been like to actually have your tongue covered in egg and cress, and then not throw up because it was your first kiss.
Yeah.
Mere mention of stuff can make you gag. It's fucking
And there
hilarious.
was a lot of spit as well. Like,
Oh.
a lot of spit.
Time for the top 3. Number 3.
Velociraptors were the size of large chickens.
Oh, that's.
It's a shame, really.
So I was thinking they're the little fellas in Jurassic Park, not the big scary ones.
What do they call the little fellas? Compies, I think they say they're
No,
named. In
but
Jurassic
I'm
Park
right, wasn't
2.
I? This is what I was going to ask you. I was right. The Velociraptors are the big size ones, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the ones that like
They
sort
They
of.
come
they're
in the
ones-
rooms and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's right.
In
When
the
they go on,
kitchen.
like, yeah, the actor's name is Bob Peck, who I thought was Gregory Peck until I was about 20. I was like, yeah, Gregory Peck, and he's in Jurassic Park. He's like, he's talking about how intelligent they are. They're like, yeah, they show extreme intelligence, even problem-solving intelligence. And you just think it's so forced. There has to be a point, and indeed there is later on, where the raptors are like unlocking doors and shit, doing like a little puzzle. Yeah, and they still get eaten by a T-Rex at the end. T-Rex, the anti-hero of that story.
I guess-
It's a lawyer. In at number 2 this week.
Human beings had been keeping sheep for 7,000 years before it occurred to them to use their wool.
So they just grew woollier and woollier and woollier.
Collective
Yeah, and I
stupidity.
must have killed them and eaten them.
Yeah, it was just
So-
food. Definitely.
Yeah.
Whoever was herding sheep, they weren't as clever as the American Indians, who obviously were, cottoned on pretty quickly that they could use buffaloes as coats.
Buffaloes as
So whoever
coats.
was herding these sheep, they just didn't have the same intelligence as the old chiefs.
So was it discovered when like somebody was herding sheep and then he just herded them in a circle around him and brought them in a little bit and just went, this is fucking warm as fuck.
I reckon he
Cheers.
got really high. The sheep herder that came up with this idea got really high one day, and he was sat in the field, and he thought that he was sat next to what was his friend. What was it? He thought he was sat next to a sheep. But it was no. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is. So let me start again.
No. It's going to be one long thread.
Oh, no.
Sat next to his mate, a sheep.
No, he sat next to what he thought was his mate in a big coat until he realised it was a sheep, and he'd been talking to him all that time having a laugh, and then he just thought it was his mate in a woolly jumper, and then he got the idea. Fucking hell. It looks like a jumper. I could put it on my mate.
It wouldn't look like a jumper though because nobody's making jumpers
Yeah.
out of wool.
How bad is this shepherd's eyesight? And how crappy is he at being a
He's
shepherd
lying.
that he can't tell the difference between a sheep and a human?
And Ken's number 1 fact this week.
You're 4 times more likely to drown in your own bathtub than you are to die of food poisoning.
Amazing.
Agreed.
You had any scary moments in the tub, anybody? When you nearly drowned?
Nope,
No.
nope.
Oh,
Scariest
so,
moment-
yeah.
Scariest
no,
moment for me in the
No,
tub was.
no one will admit it because it's all masturbatory.
No, have you ever been close to drowning in a bath?
No.
No.
No, nothing
Well
to
done
do
for
with
bringing it back, mate. Good
masturbation or
job.
anything.
Well, that was a fucking car crash then yesterday, wasn't it?
Oh.
Yeah, it's tomorrow now. It's Wednesday. Spencer's left. It's
You'll just be glad that we got kind of the week out of the way last night.
We won't revisit that. Yeah. We'll just we'll have a recount. I'm still gonna go for Justin.
I was going to say, yeah, I vote for
You-
Justin.
Yeah, I'm going with Justin still.
Alright,
All right,
Justin,
excellent.
you're still.
Still cunt of the week. So Ken,
Dan.
what have you had your nose in this week, mate?
Um,
It's time for Ken's literary salon.
3 books this week.
Fucking hell.
It's not quite as impressive as it sounds. I had an exhibition catalogue I bought. I can't even remember when I bought it. I know I bought it in London, but I can't remember which London trip it was from. But it's called Mortality, Death in the Imagination. It's a little book. It's got 2 sort of relatively long essays in it, and then there's some text about each of the artists and the works that were in the exhibition, including one by a guy called Ian Breakwell, who I wasn't familiar with, but some really amazing stuff that he did, photographs of himself, like sort of self-portraits after he'd been diagnosed with lung cancer.
Right.
So with different like weird pictures of like crabs over the point.
Right. Okay.
Where it is, and like it's like sort of photo collage almost. It's weird. I'll show you it, but they're really quite haunting. But there was one essay in that was guy talked about. Have you ever seen the interview with Dennis Potter that Melvin Bragg did when he was dying?
No, I haven't. No.
When Dennis Potter was dying. It's from 1994.
We'll chuck a link up to that.
Yeah, it must be on YouTube. It must be. But it just took me back because the essay was called Present Tense, and it was all about that, trying to live in the moment, and he was using the Dennis Potter thing because there's a bit in the interview where he says that that like how free he feels in a way, like have he really only truly lived in the moment once he'd been given this terminal diagnosis, and what Dennis Potter did to the end of his life, and what a lot of the interview was about was he wrote two TV pieces. Yeah. One's called Karaoke, and that was on the BBC, and then a week later there was Cold Lazarus, which was on Channel 4. Yeah. And this was his thing. He had a thing of like, right, I've got 6 months to live. If I can write 10 pages a day or something like that, I think it's 10 pages a day, he says, then he would, he'd hit it, and he'd managed to write these 2 dramas that are interlinked, because like Karaoke's, like, it's weird. The lead character from Karaoke, the insurance salesman guy, I think he's an insurance salesman. It's been a long time. His head's like frozen, and then Cold Lazarus set like way in the future, and they were like trying to look and interpret his memories.
Yeah, I've got vague memories of that Cold Lazarus.
Yeah. Sounds pretty cool, though.
But no, it just took me back because I remember when I first discovered Dennis Potter's writing. I was still at art school, and it was a time when it was going. You know, we had DVDs. But VHS was still the way, and so like it was the art college library. The art college I went to was amazing, and they had loads and loads of because they had loads of VHS because they had must have had some license or something whereby they would just record stuff off the TV. So there's loads of films. They're all in like these uniform cases with just the code on them, but you could look up in the catalogue, and they had that. Someone had taped it off the telly in 1994. Cool. Like Melvin Bragg interviewing Dennis Potter, like his last ever one, and he's like smoking fags and talking about it, like how like liberating it is, and he's got his like bottle of fucking, you know, Dennis Potter had like really bad arthritis, but he's like got his little thing of his like morphine that he's like supping, drinking whiskey.
Now that you say,
it took me right back to watching it, because there was a time when you couldn't take the videos out of the library. You had to sit and watch them in little booths with headphones, and I just really remember watching that, and it took me right back to that. So that was nice. It was a little kind of nostalgia bit for me this week. Yeah. Because there are a couple of screen captures of it as well. It's really. We stick a link up because I'll probably watch that again.
Yeah, definitely.
In the next week, actually.
Now that you mentioned the interview and you say he's got with it because his arthritic, he's picking it up like between the knuckles and things. Yeah. No, now that rings a load of bells.
I read Waterstones Redeemed Themselves.
Ooh.
Now I said the other week, fuck Waterstones.
Emphatically, you said fuck Waterstones. You weren't happy at all.
Yeah. No, I can't take it back, but I just feel we redressed the balance because I walked in there just on a whim, and Jonathan Edwards' book, My Family and Other Superheroes.
Oh yeah.
Was staring me in the face.
Got it right here, and as Ken predicted, it was just printed rather with the winner of the 2014 Costa Poetry Award across the bottom of it. So of course that's why it was sold out. Sold out quickly, reprint with that on it.
I've just remembered as well, like honestly, this second, that he's doing a reading in the Morringer tonight.
Tonight, yeah, that's
like right now.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
that we could have been at, in fact.
Oh.
Well, we couldn't have because I'd forgotten. And lastly, I read a collection of short stories by Haruki Murakami.
Excellent. Called
Blind Willow, Sleeping Woman.
It really rolls off the tongue nicely, his name.
Nice name.
Haruki Murakami. That's how we say it. I think it's Murakami Haruki.
That's
how you're supposed to say technically. But they print it, our way around. Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff in here. All kinds of stuff. yeah, it's a short story collection, so I won't try and summarize.
What was your favourite short story
Everything.
from Murakami?
In this one, it was a story that came kind of near the end. This book is 436 pages long, and the story Firefly starts on page 275.
Yeah.
Just for any nerds listening. Just realised what I did there. But my people will know what I'm all about. The story's about a young guy whose best friend. It was him and his best friend and his friend's girlfriend, and it was like his best friend was always the kind of heart and soul of it and would keep the conversation going, but if he left the room, the guy and the girlfriend wouldn't speak. Not like they didn't like each other, they just had nothing in common, there was nothing to ever talk about. And when they're 17, his best friend kills himself.
Ugh.
And so then it's like he's talking about, as the story opens, he's talking about later going to university and stuff, and he just happens to bump into her one day in the street, and they go for a walk, and he ends up spending loads and loads of time with her every weekend, especially on Sundays, and they go for a walk. They don't really do much, and yeah, they end up sort of starting a kind of a relationship.
What, the couple that the original?
The guy
couple?
with his no, he's dead, isn't he?
So the guy who's in the relationship dies, and then his
He
friend
kills himself, and then his friend years later, he bumps and they end up spending time together, and he doesn't really know why and what's going on. It's not like he can fancy, just finds himself in this situation, but meanwhile there's sort of ruminations on death and things, and it's all about his inability to express stuff, because it's essentially like they come together through their inability to express anything of how they feel, especially about this big thing that happened in their life, this massive thing. If you think about it, they've both got one thing in common, which is they in different ways probably loved this person.
Yeah.
And there's all these things, like there's a big bit in bold here that jumps out: death is not the opposite of life but a part of it. You just say it aloud and it sounds trivial, just plain common sense, but at the time it didn't hit me as words. It was more like air filling my body. Death was in everything around me, inside the paperweight, inside the 4 balls on the pool table. As we live, we breathe death into our lungs like fine particles of dust.
Nice.
But it's like, because he's written as if years later, but there's this bit that I've read loads of times, which is like when she writes him a letter essentially saying, I'm taking a year off, I'm going away, I'm going to go and live in this like sanatorium in the mountains near Kyoto and stuff.
Right.
Someday if we meet again, I hope I'll be able to tell you much more than I can right now, because it's about inability to communicate, inability to think about death. So after he gets the letter, there's this little really short passage that I just wanted to read. It doesn't have to make the edit, but it says,
don't put yourself down, man.
I must have read her letter over a couple of 100 times at least, and every time I was gripped by terrible sadness, the same kind of disconcerting sadness I felt when she gazed deep into my eyes. I couldn't shake off the feeling. It was like the wind, formless and weightless, and I couldn't wrap it around me. Scenery passed slowly before me. People spoke, but their words didn't reach my ears. On Saturday nights I still sat in the same chair in the dormitory lobby. I knew a phone call wouldn't come, but I had no idea what else to do. I turned on the TV and pretended to watch baseball, and gazed at the indeterminate space between me and the set. I divided that space into 2, and again into 2. I did this over and over until I'd make a space so small it could fit into the palm of my hand. At 10, I turned off the TV, went back to my room, and went to sleep.
That's awesome.
I've read that about 8 times since I finished that the other night.
Did you? That bit, that section?
Well, no, it clearly jumps out. No, it's a really specific description of exactly what happened, but it's just such a beautiful way of expressing banality.
Yeah.
It's
that's
really excellent. Yeah.
Thing with Murakami, and I totally there's a thing I've heard people say about Murakami, and has been commented on about, but that like it's like readers feel like he's inside their head, or he understands the inside of their head.
Oh right, so he's just like his
he's
descriptions of
inside
like the
my
human
head.
condition, things that we all worry about.
Basically,
perhaps.
that's why he's so massively read. That's why he's such a huge sort of figure in like a big high-profile writer.
Sure.
But it's like, I don't know, it seemed to really articulate well that feeling. I think we all sort of know that sensation of like staring into an indeterminate space, and that sense of just dividing space up. I mean, divide space so it fits in the palm of your hand. What does that mean? It's like nothing, but it's that feeling of that inability to, I don't know, do anything, express. It's weird, and it's not, I don't know, it's not depression. It's just
I'm thinking about it even now. When you said you read it a couple of times, it just made me think that I probably would have done the same thing.
I got some more Murakami coming. I think I'm gonna have a bit of a binge.
A Murakami binge.
Yeah.
Yeah, the recommended daily allowance is $2.
That's
one and a half books for women.
I had
That's a comment on the unit thing, not on women's.
yeah, that's units of alcohol, isn't it?
Surely if you plough through them that fast.
A lot of things are like that, though, aren't they? Calories and stuff are like that, aren't they?
Well, women are generally smaller.
You're right, though, Tony. If I plough through them, I'll
You're not
get through
taking
them.
it in as much. You're not sort of absorbing it.
I expect you'll be rereading some, though.
I don't know. Some bits, perhaps. Yeah, I know what you mean, the ploughing through it, but that's one of the things with Murakami. I find it's like you've got to. There are some writers that like you've got to submit to their speed, you know, their tempo, their rhythm, and yeah, because like some writers are like really demanding. Like I find David Foster Wallace really demanding. Like I find him difficult to read because it's like it needs all your concentration. Like Samuel Beckett, some of his novels.
Oh, dude, I'm too much like that, especially for Samuel Beckett, because I'm a terrible reader anyway. I need I normally have like sort of 3 bits of stimulus at any one time. My computer will be on, TV will be on, and I'll have my phone in my hand, and just what. No, just
still tries to read a book.
try to do it. Yeah, exactly, and then just add a bit. There's got to be complete silence because I have to concentrate regardless of it, regardless of anything else that's around. And yeah, rereading bits as well. And you get to something I got through before. I think half of The Street Lawyer. It's one of the first John Grisham books I read. And there was this character called Mordecai who'd been in it from the beginning, and I went, "Who the fuck's that?" It's like his partner and stuff. I was flicking back, going, "It's open." It's like Mordecai's house. I said, "Oh no! What the?"
Yeah, that's unfortunate, really, because he's not the most demanding a writer as John Grisham,
No,
is
he's
he,
not.
in terms of...
And then there was a courtroom scene. He starts off with a blank page with that written on it 5 times, and then fills in the gaps.
What I was saying, though, Tone, was just that, yeah, there can be an issue with reading books too fast, but I think quality writers, they make you read it at their speed, you know, in their rhythm.
Yeah.
And I think Murakami's particularly brilliant at that. Yeah, and he's a particularly wonderful writer. I'd encourage anyone to.
You're always really good at selling these books, I've got to say.
Well, I've been lucky. They've been some good books lately.
Ken's Literary Salon was hosted by Ken Trainer.
So good, that music you got for that as well.
Was there music? Was there?
Yeah, there was
really
music
good
on the
music.
first one. It was like going underneath it and everything for ages. It was great.
Fuck, yeah, I don't think I put that in the last one. Oh, bollocks.
That's alright, bring it back. I've talked on for ages, so
That's
even
okay.
half
It
of
whisks
it
you
makes-
away into a little cottage with you imagine Ken sat in a nice little comfy chair by the window with his legs crossed with a book in his
Yeah,
hand.
leather-bound chair, leather-bound book.
It makes you
It's a
think
lovely cup of sweet
yeah.
chamomile and
Little candle,
ash tea or whatever it
he's
is.
using candlelight to read this book.
Everything's in the past.
I also found a book recently called The Wisdom of Near-Death Experiences,
Fantastic.
which is like
It's
it's like a proper study book, like not like, you know, in the spirituality section. This is like a proper like doctor. Somebody's written this thing about it.
Fucking hate that section. It's got to be the most derided. Honest to God, but in Waterstones and in what was it?
Well, I'm friends with Watsons this week, Dan.
Yeah, of
so
course.
Watch,
No, I know.
Watch what you say.
No,
alright?
there's everything there, but unfortunately, in any, I didn't see any in Smith's, but I wasn't looking for them. But there's like this wee section, like the paper bit in Asda, and I mentioned it on this podcast. I think the magazine What Doctors Don't Tell You, and the photograph I took of one of them, and it said 12 foods that fight cancer,
Yeah.
and then vitamin C cures everything from measles to AIDS. Actually on the cover of it, mate.
Oh god.
This is this like healthy looking woman. I thought, what doctors don't tell you, and it's fucking edited by these 2 naturopaths who, after years in the medical profession, turned their back on Western medicine. It's fuck.
They're
God, it's
using
so...
the wrong word there anyway by saying cures, because what they probably mean is
Prevents it.
prevents
prevent
it.
it.
Yeah.
They probably meant to say was prevent, so it's wrong to use the word cure. They've done it.
Well,
just,
that's
yeah,
what
but
they
it's
say.
just-
It's
it's
wrong
just
to
doing
use
it-
all of it, mate.
It's just doing it in that framework because, in a sense, it's saying like eating healthily will prevent you getting ill, which to some degree is true
That's right.
because it will keep you healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it's
bugger
not
me
true
if
in
it is,
every
yeah.
sense. And then also there are things that you just can't.
Say.
Sorry, it winds me up. It's irresponsible and
Dangerous.
frankly, and frankly pathetic. Really, they should be ashamed of themselves, and anyone who buys it should be ashamed of themselves as well. Probably lost a listener there somewhere, but
I doubt
fuck you.
There's a lot of things that once they're in, once you've got them, you know they're uncurable.
Of course, we've mentioned
So
those.
it's mostly about what you can do with your diet to avoid them happening. But yeah, to say, oh, don't worry, there's a cure, is a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's not even a bit, mate. Ken's right.
It's
It's
like
totally
saying-
irresponsible. We've covered charlatans loads before in terms of psychics and even the religious. But essentially, as long as you're not sort of projecting those views onto other people, and even if you are, you can at least be ignored. Somebody tells you the gays are bad, you can just go, well, that's absolutely rubbish, and crack on. But the fact that it's giving this as advice and people, the credentials spewing out at the fucking front of this magazine to give it, because nothing else has any credibility whatsoever, genuinely dangerous implications to it.
7 fruit teas that make limbs grow back. That's what I want to see.
Absolutely fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Turns out-
The herb that brings your relatives back from the dead.
Turns out that alcohol and cigarettes are bad for you as well. It says what doctors don't tell you. Doctors have the respect to go,
Yeah.
you know, smoking and that's bad, don't you? That's why we ask you how much you smoke, and it's never a prescription to increase that amount of fangs. Theorising that one could time travel within his own lifetime, Dr. Antonio Romola stepped into the quantum leap accelerator and vanished. He woke to find himself trapped in the past, facing mirror images that were not his own, and driven by an unknown force to change history for the better. His only guides on this journey, Ken Trainer and Dan Rowley, observers from his own time, who appear in the form of a hologram that only Antonio can see and hear. And so, Dr. Antonio finds himself leaping from life to life, striving to put right what once went wrong, and hoping that each time, his next quantum leap will be the leap home. Antonio, this is where you go back in time as a famous person, and you get to change the course of history for the better.
Why don't I go back as a famous person? You just mean like people who listen to me.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe.
Maybe. This is your first leap.
God.
Sound effect. You are a drummer
Right.
in an up-and-coming band called the Beatles. Can't sight yourself in the mirror. You are Pete Best. Change the course of history, Tone.
Right. The reason why Pete Best got kicked out of the group was because it was by their manager at the time. Yeah.
Brian Epstein.
Was it Brian Epstein the first one? Yeah, Brian Epstein.
Beatles manager.
Yeah, he was the first
Yeah.
one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Brian Epstein.
Brian Epstein the manager.
Brian
George
Epstein
Martin, the
kicked him
producer.
out because he didn't think that he was right. He didn't look right with the other three.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. See, I like it with Ringo Starr.
Ooh.
Would I actually wanna help out?
Would you be the reason that he's kicked out? You look in the mirror and you look like a Beatle, but now you decided because you prefer Ringo, you grow the beard out.
One thing I may have possibly tried to do is talk Brian Epstein and the other Beatles into having 2 drummers for the band. I've heard of this guy Ringo. Me and him can drum really well together. We'll get together. We'll work out some really cool patterns on the drums together where we synchronize with one another and then we break off. He does a solo, I do a solo, and we can turn this Beatles thing into something. You know, we can create this new style of band playing.
Even you don't look convinced, Tom. Your choice really is: do you try and change something to stay in it, or do you change something to get out of it? If you get out of it because you prefer it with Ringo, that's one reason. What are you gonna do?
In Quantum Leap, do you stay? You don't stay there. So even if you change the course of history, you're not going to be there to. You were not going to be there to be part of it. So I wouldn't. My choice wouldn't be selfish, because it wouldn't be.
Mm.
Yeah, I wouldn't really be, reaping any benefit. I wouldn't be hanging around.
You'd be
benefit,
quite literally making history, Tom, which has been a bit of a concern for you, hasn't it, this year?
The Beatles, when they met Elvis Presley, apparently they didn't get on. There was a bit of jealousy there. Elvis didn't like the fact that these guys were as big as he was in America, in Britain.
Nice.
So I'd try and find a way of making Elvis like the Beatles. In my role as the drummer, I'd do something like I'd get really friendly with him, and I'd like try and convince the Beatles to cover one of his songs. Yeah, I guess I'd go over to Elvis's house, and I'd be like, I've had a dream, yeah, and I've got a really bad feeling.
He's leaping all over history.
He is, isn't he?
I've had a really bad feeling that
I don't
if you
think they'd
don't
let you in.
if you don't get on with Paul and John and me and George, that you're gonna seriously regret it in the future. You're gonna get fat. You're gonna get on drugs, and you're gonna never have had the opportunity to play with the Beatles alongside the Beatles, or like do some sort of tour where you like play together and stuff. You're gonna miss out on that.
So you'd quantum leap as Pete Best
and try and save Elvis.
Save Elvis by threatening him. You better get on with Paul and all the lads, because otherwise you're gonna get fat and be on drugs. That's a very selfless way of doing it. I like quantum leap. Brings out the best in you, mate.
Didn't mention anything to John Lennon about watch out in.
Oh yeah.
I forgot about that.
Too busy talking to Elvis about.
Don't move to New York, John. Don't go to New York.
Were you guys next to you going, Toad? What about the Beatles? Yeah, I'm just over at Elvis's house. Why are you at Elvis's house? Why are you in Liverpool? Why are you in Memphis?
Yeah, ring it up, Elvis. What do you mean you let him in? Why? What the fuck?
Yeah.
No, Toad. There's a 42% chance that the Beatles aren't even going to make it to the Cabin Club if you don't get back to Liverpool right now. Oh no, I just want it to meet Elvis. I just want this tour to happen. The Beatles aren't famous yet. Get back there. You're the drummer. There's no Ringo Starr.
So I guess I'd have to warn John Lennon not to piss off the government in America, because you never know, they might try and assassinate you. Don't do it. Don't bother trying to do anything to do with peace.
Sorry.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
No one's gonna listen.
What's this?
Sorry.
No, like the conspiracy that they brainwashed. That he was brainwashed. This guy that shot John Lennon. He was brainwashed to shoot John Lennon. I think there's a chance that actually happened.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to get rid of him.
You're going to warn John Lennon not to piss off the government.
Yeah. Well, so that he wouldn't get shot.
Yeah.
Not to even go down the road of trying to protest for peace and stuff, because it's not going to make any fucking difference to the way things are, in 2010.
How are you going to ensure that you're still in the band by that stage?
Ooh, good point. If you're just all chubby with Elvis, you'd probably be his session drummer by this point.
Maybe I can just threaten them every day, like, so, I've got some poison in my pocket. and if any of you like even try and imply that I'm going to get kicked out of this band, if anyone even hints towards kicking me out, I'm gonna, while we're recording in the studio, I'm just gonna slip a bit of poison in your tea or your beer, whatever you're drinking. You won't know when it's coming.
It's a classic approach, man. So your whole plan is part of the threat.
And I've got different poisons that just taste like whatever you're drinking, so you'll never know it's in there, and you can't go the rest of your life just not drinking tea or beer. Just
is that the two flavours of the poisons? Is it tea and beer?
I'm just trying to think what the Beatles drink. Tea.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, no. If you were going to go for a poison for British people,
probably
you should probably have tea and
probably
beer.
Tea and red wine. Ringo would probably just be on probably just drinking pineapple juice.
Yeah, but Ringo hasn't got your job yet. You're Pete Best. You're still the drummer at this stage.
Oh yeah, he's not there yet, is he?
You're going to kill Ringo Starr
that's a good
with your poison.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I could because I know who they're going to employ over me.
Yeah.
I could track down Ringo, just kill him, so they can't even ask him.
What's he drinking? Oh, it looks like pineapple juice. Have you got that one, Tom? Yeah. Oh, is it? Does orange and lemon? Does that make pineapple? No, it makes orange and lemon.
Yeah, it's another crap murder, isn't it? Where you've got this massive
chamomile. I haven't got one for that.
Yeah, exactly. That was my point. You'd have to carry this massive bag around, just full of
selection,
different flavoured poisons. Yeah.
What have you got? What's that blue one? Raspberry 8. You've got raspberry 8, but you don't have pineapple. That's ridiculous. Your poisons are too specific. Why don't you just make one flavourless poison if you're capable of doing all this? God, Pete. So it's about threats and murder. You could just chop his hand off, one of his hands, Ringo Starr. You don't have to kill him.
You did hit it quite early. What the real dilemma was? Do you want to try and keep yourself as Pete Best in the band, or do you want
off by saying why was he kicked out? What can I do to keep him in?
But then you said you quite like Ringo, and as Dan pointed out, perhaps.
And Yellow Submarine would have been the same without Ringo Starr as the main role.
Well, you'd have had to sing it.
Yeah.
So give us a rendition of that. Or Octopus's Garden, or Goodbye with a Little Help from My Friends.
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a big star. Hang on, I'm trying to do my best Ringo Starr.
Why? You don't have to. You can sing it as you.
Oh, is it? I was going for Ringo Starr.
No, you were
They're
there.
gonna put me in the movies. No, that's Ringo Starr.
Sound like a
They're
whistle.
gonna make a big star out of me.
Think about it, Tom. Right?
Someday I'm
You've
gonna
gone there.
hit the big screen.
You've taken care of Ringo. You're still in the band. Don't care how you've done it. You're either amazing. They think, fuck, he's turned himself around.
Oh, right, okay. So
Or
you're
you've
saying
got
how
rid
I
of-
would sing Octopus's
Yeah.
Garden.
So you get to that, and they're like, right,
Okay.
you know, they always like to do a song for
Well,
you.
I think it's beautiful the way he sang it. Ringo sang that song. Maybe I'd give it a bit more of a country feel. That Octopus's Garden.
Yeah.
I'd go for. I like to be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade.
That's amazing.
Yeah, cut it there. That's it.
Yeah, you're right. We definitely should have carried on. Fantastic. Excellent. So, to sign off the second half of this, I'd like to thank my co-participants for this last 45 minutes. Kenneth Trainer,
Thank you, Dan.
Antonio Romola,
Thank you.
and the ghost of Matthew Spencer. You full of shit, fucking French, you don't fuck up.
Yeah, and Justin, wherever he is.
Massive cunt.
Hello. oh yeah, I've just finished.
What a time to